Six Flags is about to open a new B&M at every single one of their parks, or at least hypothetically, but I actually think it would be a fun video to speculate with. If Six Flags were to open a B&M at every single Six Flags park, which parks would get which models, when would they open, and how big would the rides be? B&M has a bunch of different models. There's their Flyer, their Dive, their Wing, their Hyper, their Giga, their Sit Down, their Floorless, their Surf, and their Invert. Before we start, I'm going to set some rules first. Every model can only be used a maximum of 3 times, and the year I predict the coasters will open has to be within the next decade. That will mean hypothetically Six Flags would have to open 1 or 2 B&Ms each year starting with 2023. Before I tell you which parks I think would open awesome coasters for 2023, I gotta thank Airtime Thrills for this awesome video I did. I'll link his channel in the description and you should definitely give him a sub. So let's assume Six Flags has a 15 coaster deal with B&M over the next 10 years. For 2023, I think we'll see new coasters, with the first going to Six Flags New England. New England is due for a coaster and there are a lot of options that fit here. New England has one big gap though, and that is in the launch area. They don't have a launch coaster yet, and since Six Flags is only working with B&M for the sake of this video, I'm gonna give New England B&M's only official launch coaster, the new B&M Surf Coaster. That will be a great fit at the park and would probably be an extremely unique ride and do a lot of positive things for the park. The other park that I think will get a new 2023 B&M is Six Flags Mexico. 2023 will have been 5 years since their latest coaster, which was a 4D free spin, and I think it's time for a B&M Wing coaster here. The Wing coaster would be a relatively cheap, awesome, and very unique ride for the park. I think it would fit into their lineup greatly. For 2024, I think Six Flags will go crazy again, opening 2 new coasters at some surprising parks. Remember, they have 15 coasters to open, 1 at each of their parks, and only 10 years to do so. I'm giving the first 2024 coaster to Six Flags over Georgia. 6 years since Wicked Cyclone opened, they deserve something new, and a brand new record-breaking launch B&M Surf Coaster sounds like a great fit for this park. Over Georgia is another major Six Flags park that lacks in the launch coaster market, and a surf coaster will give them a well-needed next coaster while giving them a brand new, unique, and thrilling experience. The other park I think gets a B&M in 2023 is Great Escape, and I think they're getting an invert. This park has some solid attractions, but some of them are getting really old. I don't know how much time their Arrow coasters have left at the park, and their bobsled doesn't look like it's got much life left to it either. With it looking increasingly more likely that Six Flags is gonna have to remove at least 1 coaster from this park, I think 2024 is perfect timing for a new inversion machine. Their new invert doesn't have to break any records or anything, and it could even be a clone, but it would give the park an awesome new coaster that could easily become the best in the park and would be their first ever new coaster. That's right, all their current coasters are relocations. 2025 I think will be a really big year. Six Flags will have just opened an invert at the Great Escape, and I think the same will go to Frontier City. Frontier City is in a similar situation with their coasters, where the major ones will likely have to get torn down soon. That's why I think this park will get a very cheap clone B&M invert for 2025, but it will still be a welcome addition. The other coaster I predict will come in 2025 is for Six Flags Magic Mountain. Knott's Berry Farm filed plans recently for a new B&M Giga, but those plans were later changed to what looks like a small-scale B&M Hyper coaster. I think Six Flags was petrified when they saw Knott's Berry Farm considering a Giga coaster before Magic Mountain had one. That's exactly why I'm predicting a new B&M Giga coaster for Six Flags Magic Mountain. Their Hyper coaster isn't so good, but why get a new Hyper when you can get a brand new B&M Giga? And once you're at it, you may as well make it the tallest Giga at 350 feet tall. This would give Magic Mountain an awesome and insanely reliable capacity monster and would set the park up for success for decades to come. 2026 I think will only bring 1 coaster. The chain will have been opening so many B&Ms they'll want to take a break. But this new coaster they open in 2026 will be an awesome one. I say Fiesta Texas will get a brand new amazing B&M Hyper that'll end up being the best of its kind in the world. The recent B&M Hypers have been elite ones, Just look at Candymonium, Mecco, and Diamondback. Knowing Fiesta, Texas, they're gonna make this hyper good, and after the success of Dr. Diabolical from 2022, they'll want another reliable capacity monster. I honestly would have given Fiesta a Giga, but they have a height limit, so oh well. That brings us to 2027, when I think the only new flyer in the chain will open. This one is going to Over Texas. They need something unique, but it's gotta be good at the same time. The last B&M flyer to open in the US was Manta at SeaWorld Orlando, but I think this one will be even better. B&M flyers are awesome rides, but you don't really see too many of them. My guess is parks like to stay away from it because of the high maintenance and lower capacity these rides have compared to other B&Ms, but I think Over Texas will love this new addition. On top of Over Texas B&M flyer, I think 2027 is also the year we see St. Louis get a hyper coaster. St. Louis has been neglected for so long, and as Theme Park Crazy says, you can never go wrong with the B&M Hyper. B&M Hypers are smooth, reliable GP magnets and have extremely high capacity. Oh, and they're also thrilling. That's literally the perfect combo. There's absolutely nothing to hate about these rides, and that's why I think St. Louis will get one in 2027. Then we get to 2028. Well, this is the year for the great parks to shine. Yup, I'm talking about Great Adventures and Great America. Both these parks are already stacked with coasters. Actually, a bunch from B&M, but I think the coasters they open will be their best B&Ms ever. I think Great America gets a massive, extremely unique, thrilling B&M dive for 2028. I don't think dive coasters will be the same after Dr. Diabolical, and I think Six Flags will make this one amazing. As for Great Adventure, I think they'll get a B&M Giga. I know they already have King the Cow, which is a lot taller than any B&M Giga would be, but think about it. This coaster makes so much sense for this park. I have a bunch of videos on why I think Great Adventure might actually get a Giga, so I'm not going to get into that now. But I'm sure no one will complain after riding the massive 365 feet tall machine. A B&M Giga at this park on top of their current lineup would make them elite of the elite, with one of the best coaster lineups in the country. Then there's 2029, when I think Six Flags will open a wing coaster at Discovery Kingdom. B&M's wing model is a great one, and this should give this park one reliable attraction Six Flags won't have to think about removing 2 years later. I think Six Flags America is up for 2023, with them getting a brand new B&M surf coaster. This park really doesn't get the attention it should and has so much more potential. Maybe their new B&M surf will be enough to put them on the map again, and maybe it'll be the start of a decade filled with new additions. 2031, we have the La Ronde's wing coaster. I really wasn't sure what to give La Ronde, so I just left them with the wing. Last but not least, we finally have Six Flags Darien Lake, and I think they'll get a new dive coaster. Nothing too crazy, but a unique layout that will be an amazing ride. This park has a future, and with there being no other dive coasters close by, it will be the perfect addition. But that's only assuming Hershey Park isn't about to open a B&M dive. You heard that right. Not only is Hershey Park preparing to RMC Wildcat and build one of the most insane coasters of all time, but they may actually be building a massive B&M dive in Chocolatown. I have an entire video on Hershey Park's next coaster, but they may be about to open 3 new coasters in a row.